Okay, well, here we are on the rebuild bench, taking a look at the carnage of what happens when somebody stabs the torque converter improperly. This is the $700 R4 transmission pump that came out of the 52 Studebaker Commander, and somebody stabbed it wrong and jacked it all up. I've seen a lot of people do this on older cars. They will, well, the old cars, like F1 Ford transmission, even some of the older FMXs, you leave the torque converter bolted onto the flex plate. If you can grab that tail shaft and it'll move the guts. That's how you do the older ones, 4MATIC, things like that. But you get into a turbo hydromatic 350, 400, even a C4, C6, you have to put the torque converter into the pump and then put the transmission in the vehicle with the torque converter fully seated into the input shaft and pump of the transmission. And then, of course, we order a pump. I ordered a pump. Some fella in Chicago. I'm going to get his name and let him know. But the pump was not aligned. So these bolt holes here, there's two pieces of the pump, right? You got this guy right here, and then this pump here, that's your input shaft. That's where your torque converter slides into there. But we didn't even get a chance to use the torque converter to put on. We tried to drop this in. And when you drop this in, it drops in from that side there. And when you drop that in, if this piece right here, the vane drive on the pump is not lined up with this properly, I mean, just a little bit, just off a little bit, then that pump will never sit down in there. So we were dropping this down in there, and we still had a quarter inch to go, if not more, and it would not drop down in there. And then Dad, thank God Dad's here, he reminded himself, finally opened the steel trap, and remembered that you flip this thing upside down, and you loosen those bolts. Loosen those bolts here, and then flip it upside down. So the bolts go in back here. Flip it upside down, get it set on the pilot or on the input shaft of the transmission. Get it down and line this up. It'll go into this bushing here, kind of line things up. You loosen these bolts, you wiggle it around a little bit, and it'll line up. Once it lines up, you tighten that up, and then you flip it back in and drop it into the transmission right side up, and it'll go right in. But if you pay somebody $200 for a rebuilt pump, you would think that they would have a pilot and a guide to center that up before they ship the damn thing out. But yeah, that was an hour and a half of time that we burned up. We'll never get back. But don't stab your torque converter improperly when you install the transmission, because this is what happens. And guys like me gotta fix it, and it's just misery. That might have been why I was able to get a hold of the car. That was our problem with our starter. We can go over here right now real quick, and you can listen to the starter. Everything's in. TV pressure cable's hooked up. Just a little bit dressing up left to go in there, and then we'll mount the seat. And I got to start on that undercarriage bullshit. But you can see the difference between the starter when I first got this car and now. Here we go. Ready? And that's much better. Much better. Sounds good. I really like it. It goes into gear and everything, so I'll get it out on the road, warm it up, and top off my fluid, and then get down there, hook up my air conditioner, and do whatever they didn't do in here. It is a really nice looking fuse box and terminal point right there. So we'll dress that up a little bit better and get everything dialed in, and see if I can find the glove box lid and all the trim that goes around the windows, weather stripping and so forth, and get this thing on the road. So hey, thanks for hanging hanging out with me on this journey. And we'll post a little more later. Have a good week.